everyone, I hope you are having a wonderful day. Today I'm going to be just practicing drawing faces and I'm inviting you along to just watch my process, and I'm going to chit chat like I did yesterday, which was actually so much fun. These are some of the paintings that I've done in the past. These are on canvas, so these are on just like a canvas paper. They're acrylic paints. I have a few that I've done, and this is just sort of my own style. This was a series, and I really like the colors here, but this is just sort of what I have been working on. These will probably be up on my website probably within a month. I thought I have so many of these, it's time to start letting them go. So stay tuned for that, but I'm going to walk you through my process. Now for practice, I'm not using the canvas. The canvas is only when I feel serious about my work. But I'm just using, I'll show you what I'm using. Again, if you're new to my channel, I'm in the kitchen and my floor is squeaky. I'll take my shoes off, maybe that will help. I'm using this new Soho series sketchbook paper. It's for watercolor, pen, colored pencil, but I'm going to be using ink and acrylic markers today. I'm really going to try to avoid that squeaky spot. I don't know. Okay, what I'm going to be using is these Enme ink control acrylic markers. I like these because honestly, they come in this little suitcase thing and they're so quick to take out and put away. So I'm going to be using these. I have a whole bunch of colors and I'm just going to use whatever I want. I did try to remain limited with the other things that I'm using. I'm going to use a Sharpie marker, Liquitex acrylic marker. This is acrylic ink marker. I love this. And then I picked just a few colored pencils to use, just my favorite colors. And the other one is these Neocolor water-soluble crayons. I don't know if I'm going to be adding water to these, but I like the way they cover the page, so we're going to be using those. I try not to think too much when I'm drawing faces. With any of these, it's just go with the flow. I will say, this little cat, I'm in love with that little cat. I actually I don't know which one's my favorite, but I am just going to jump in and see what comes out. One of the things I kind of want to do is see if I can just keep it super simple. Again, if you've watched my channel, I have so many videos on how to draw faces, and if you're new, I have an ebook. I have several ebooks, and I'll leave some links in the comments to those. But I'm going to just map in her eyes. And one of the things I'm trying to do lately is just come out a bit, and I'm playing around with I'm just playing around with my overall way of doing things. I think everybody who draws and paints, perhaps we just, after a while, your style sort of evolves. And because this is just play for me right now, to try to figure out in which direction I want to go. I always want to get better at drawing faces, or at least have a little more character. Now, I've had some people ask me if I could give them ideas on how to draw hair. I know I try to get the forehead in. I know it's up high, and when it comes to hair for me, usually I just come down. I just come down from one corner, and I make these really loopy marks because hair is not my area of expertise either, but you can see I just drew loopy marks. And sometimes, honestly, if I feel like I'm messing up the hair or I've done something, sometimes I'll add a hat. Like, I love this lady. This lady was done with book pages and sparkles. I've also had requests on how to draw faces that are older, more mature, and we'll do that because these are super fun, and I love the overall look of this. This is one of my favorites. That's why some of my favorites I'll just keep out so I can reference back to, but I definitely like the glasses, the lips. I love the paper. I love her hat. I just feel like she's a lady with character, and I love her sparkly earrings. So I have lots of different ideas coming up. But anyway, if you feel like, oh, there's too much going on here, you can add a flower here, or add a hat, or add something. I think I'm going to do some big earrings for this lady. She's gonna be super fancy. And sometimes I like to just be like, oh, maybe she'll have like a really powerful, you know, necklace on. But I'm liking her. I like her look. The next thing I'm gonna do is just, oh, that floor. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do, sometimes I'll test my markers out down here. And I'm not necessarily gonna color the whole thing in. I get the cheeks in and her forehead, maybe her nose. You can see I'm really loose with it, and the way I hold my pencil is also really loose. I'm not gonna be locked in. Her ears, and let's get those. It doesn't matter if I color over the black acrylic marker, but just because I'm using these acrylic markers. These acrylic markers are somewhat transparent. You can see the marker line through there. Now, maybe I'll want to get a darker color to add a little shading. So where her eyelids are, maybe even, sometimes I like to do a darker under the eye, like the tip of her nose. Usually there's shadow on the nose as well, and underneath the bottom lip. There's usually shadow in the forehead area, so wherever there might be some shadow, I'm just gonna pop it in there. Underneath her chin, there will be shadow. And so she's sort of coming to life. She doesn't look very happy. Add some pink to her cheeks and maybe to her lips. In one of my previous videos when I was doing acrylic, abstract acrylic artwork that I'm going to be finishing up on Sunday probably, I usually, even with faces, work with numerous drawings at once. Usually I'll have like 4 or 5, especially when I'm doing something like a series like this, because not all my faces will turn out. And so if I do 4 or 5 or 6, maybe I'll get, you know, 2 or 4 that will turn out that I really like and I'll keep. And the other ones I'll just use for practice. Okay, I like her lips. Next thing I'm gonna do is her hair. I kind of think I'm into like a lot of just like bright and cheery colors as well. The other thing you can do, I'm coloring over the earrings, but I'm gonna go back over those after. The other thing you can do is use oil pastels and all sorts of different art supplies. And one of the reasons I use different art supplies is because I can fix my mistakes. I put mistakes in quotation marks, but you can add layers on top of things you don't like and make adjustments as you go. Usually the hair too will have shading or shadow, usually closest to the face. So I'm gonna do that, and then sometimes I just play around. So the hair will have darker, it'll be darker closer to the face. And although I like to talk about shadows and shading, I'm not really overly invested in it. Now, what I'm gonna do next is go over those eyes again. A lot of times when you look at eyes, the whole pupil is not showing. Usually the eye covers it somehow. And also, like, you don't need to have it perfect one eye to the next, because honestly, our faces, even though they're symmetrical, they're not exactly the same. That's why everybody has, you know, they say they have one good side. Okay, and I'm just going over with this marker again. Okay, I'm gonna add some colored pencils. So it's just playing around. This paper's textured, so when I add the colored pencils, I can see that it's also gonna be textured. I'm not sure how I feel about the colored pencils, so maybe I'll pop in with, I'm gonna have to go to the other side because this floor is way too squeaky. Maybe I'll add like a lighter, I like the way these crayons, these Neocolor, and I'm not adding water to this. They're water soluble, but I kind of just like them the way they are. And I'll get a red. These are great for practicing I just like the boldness of it. Now I can go over areas of her hair. I mean, maybe I could add water. Maybe we'll see what happens if I add water so we can at least have a look at it on this paper, because this paper is meant for water. There's no rhyme or reason for what I'm doing. I wonder what happens if I add water. Let's be curious and see. Okay, I grabbed a little bit of water and I'm just going to use the water sparingly and see what happens. No, actually, I kind of like it. And I'm not using a lot of water so I can manipulate it. And I like that the colored pencil shows beneath. Let's get her, let's see. Again, if you're playing in your art journal, you kind of have to do the what if. What if I did this? What if I did that? Okay. Now I really want to see, because I think I added something here. Ooh, that's nice. I kind of like that. Now I'm gonna settle in. I kind of wonder if again, I like the textures and I like colors, so now I'm gonna play around with these colored pencils. I'm not sure why I'm doing this, but I like adding color to different areas, like bringing up the color. I don't want to do too much, but I really kind of like the way this blue looks, as if she's wearing like blue eyeliner or something. Now I'm just kind of trying to see what happens if I add all these colors. Probably added too much. Playing around. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm having fun. And I want to get some pencil marks in here because I know they're going to shine through or show through. Let's see if I do the other side. if I add water, what happens? I like it. I feel like her face isn't messy enough. I think I did her eyes in the brown with the Neocolor, so I'm gonna just wet it down. It was too dark anyway, you couldn't see her pupils. And then see what goes on here. I'm liking it so far. I think I need to let this dry for a minute and then we're gonna jump back in. Now I have some white paint, and this is like Toll paint. This is folk art white paint that I have that's been sitting around forever. And I want to see if I could, what happens if I add a little bit of this white paint to it. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it, but again, I'm just experimenting. Because this acrylic, this Toll paint, or whatever it's called, I like the way it mixes. I figured I could use this or I could use gesso. There's transparency to it. It's not like your typical thick acrylic paint that you would get like a professional, but it's great to play around with and it's really inexpensive. I'm not sure. I felt like her cheeks were too overdone. So I'm kind of just playing around there and let's see. I don't like a lot of like strong marks. I like it to blend. So now I'm going over it with this Toll paint, which I call it Toll paint, folk art paint. I don't know what it is, but I am liking this effect because I'm going to go over it again. It's going to dry and I'm going to go over it again. And again, if this is your sketchbook, you have to play to find out what it is you like and don't like. I actually might get a pencil out to create some nice pencil marks. I want to keep her eyes sort of strong. So I've toned her down a touch. And I'm liking her. I like that she's toned down. Her face is definitely off. There we go. Let's see what we can do next. Okay, so I have added some more white paint and a little bit of gesso on it because I want to go over it with some pencil marks. And I've grabbed some pencil because I think I want some smudgy type lines. I have a Derwent sketching pencil and I also have another sketching pencil. This is a charcoal one which I used the other day, which I wasn't sure if I liked. And then just a regular, this one's just like another fancy pencil that I have. I'm going to see what I could do here. I just liked the smudginess of it, where I like drawing with the Sharpie marker, but I kind of just wanted a different kind of feeling when you look at this drawing, and it wasn't, I didn't want the Sharpie markers. I didn't want the Sharpie markers. And as artists, we evolve and change our process, and that's why the art journaling and sketching is so important, because you get to play and discover what you like and what you don't like. And so I like this sort of smudgy look to it. And I feel like her nose is probably too far down. It probably should have been up, but something to keep in mind for later. I'm fixing her lips because technically they should come, the edge of the lip should come to the middle of the eye. which I don't quite have, but that's fine. I'm just adjusting it. And now it's hard for me because I can't stand back too far, but I feel like I want her face to be adjusted a bit. Her chin should probably be like, because I've made her lips bigger, I feel like I should probably widen that face a bit. I do like the hair. And again, for me, the hair is just squiggly. I'm never really invested a whole lot in the hair. I'm not sure about her lips, but I am sure about using different pencil marks and different supplies in my art. I still feel like her lips are probably too big. Maybe she's in a garden. I don't know. And I will do her eyes with the black because I do want her eyes to kind of stand out. Give her a bit of a smile. Now I gotta stand back and sort of be like, I don't know. When you're using a Sharpie over all your different art supplies, be prepared that sometimes it's just going to stop working because you've just overloaded it, which is fine. Now I'm going in again. And I kind of like it. definitely think her lips are way too big. And she looks super unhappy. I don't want that. Much better. Oh my gosh, much better. And I feel like her eyes are a little big. So sometimes just stepping back and just looking at what you're doing. I'm gonna put a dot in the center so it looks like she's got like reflection in her eye. And I do that like a little bit right here. And I feel like like there's something that needs to happen here. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm gonna keep playing. Now I have this gold acrylic marker. I don't know how that will look, but I'm just drawing like circles for her earrings. And I'll draw some here as well. And this is acrylic gold. I could do sparkles too, but I'm not feeling that right now. I kind of like how she looks. Like maybe she needs a crown. These acrylic markers are more expensive and there's more coverage than the other ones that I'm using. The other ones are great for practice. These, I love these. I got them for myself for Christmas and I haven't used them I haven't used like this type of marker in so long, but sometimes you forget how much you like them. Okay, well, I wonder if her crown should keep going. Okay, now I'm gonna do like a circles here. And I'll leave that for now. I like her crown. Definitely add some white to create more distinct lines between, like, in the crown. I'm not really sure what a crown was. I'll have to play with that later. Look at me, I'm still going. I'm just gonna do that for now. And same with her earrings. You can kind of just do like some kind of reflection. Keep your lines loose, doesn't have to be perfect. Kind of like that. And now actually I want to get like a distinct teal color that's similar to this and really make her necklace pop. Ooh, I really like her. She's starting to come around. I feel like she looks pretty good for now. I think I want to add, this is like I found white. I want to go over, just like add like a tiny little line here. Just a little bit here, but here. And maybe just like, Let's see, now I have to stand back again. I know there's so much more I could do with this, but I'm going to leave it for now because I'm super happy, I think, with how this lady has turned out so far. But like I said, there's more that you can do. I'm still doing it. There's more that can be done. Like I could add a bird, I could add hearts. I could really block this out. But if you are playing around in your art journal, I mean, I started out with an idea, and one of the tips I have that's really helping me is start out this way, just choosing a few different art supplies. Whoops, there we are. Just choosing a few different art supplies to start with, instead of, you know, some of the things I used to do was have all my art supplies out, and then I would just go overboard. So if I don't have a plan in mind for what I'm going to create, but I'm starting to have a plan in mind in what art supplies I am going to begin with. And it helps for me to come down to the kitchen, because if I need other art supplies and running up and down the stairs, and I'm glad, because like I really like how this turned out. Let's give you a close-up. And again, just minimal editing today, but here is the close-up. I like all the scratchy marks and the highlights and the crown, and it's fun to play to see what comes out. There's so much on here, but I really did try to limit my art supplies here, and I truly feel that helped me stay true to my art style, but also explore sort of, okay, I don't have all my art supplies, so let's see what I can do with, with this and that. Like normally I would paint flowers there, but I didn't have my acrylic paint. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I'd love to know if you're going to give it a try. I hope you all have a fantastic day and happy sketching.